Hey guys, it's 258. Welcome back of Apples and Magic. Today is chapter 12 apparently, and it's called Of Apples and Magic. That's gonna be funny if we can see in the thumbnail and in the thing. Anyways, last time I was dying and I had a lot of commentary in there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed some of that nonsense I spewed it out. But in the story, the Twilight and Applejack were supposed to announce the wedding to the Canterlot ponies. But, that didn't go so well. And Twilight at the end had a mute swing. And hopefully I stay more into the story. Anyways, let's hop right in. Of Apples and Magic. The big day of their wedding had finally arrived, and Canterlot Castle was lit up as though the Grand Galloping Gala were coming tonight. But something just as spectacular was in the works. After over a long week of preparations, everything was set up for the royal wedding of Princess Twilight Sparkle and Applejack, her wife-to-be. The throngs of ponies that had come for the wedding were mind-boggling. Every pony from cart pullers to well-known celebrities to nobles mingled together in the crowds. The settings were just as lavish, everything golden or otherwise ornate, something that made Applejack somewhat uncomfortable. Whereas, I really gotta wear this frou-frou dress? Applejack huffed as she looked over the rather poofy white wedding dress and that Rarity had made for her, all the frills and lace and gold making her nearly gag at how gaudy it looked to her. Her mane was also all tussied up in a fashion that she'd usually see on the front cover of Prance magazine, not on her own head. This ain't exactly my style, you dig? Oh, Applejack, hush. This is traditional style of royal Canterlot wedding gown and coiffure that every royal pony since olden pony times has worn to be married in it, and it is what the royal seamstresses and hairstylists assisted me in accenting and making. I simply could not imagine any pony not wanting to meet their amour at the altar with this on. Well, you met her, Applejack huffed. Oh, hush up and hold still, Miss Squirmy. I wouldn't want to prick you by accident as I sew this seam, Rarity warned, her magic carefully weaving the needle through the fabric. Come to think of it, I thought I just sewed this seam not 2 weeks ago and it fit you perfectly. Applejack chuckled. Well, I have been eating a bit more as of late, so maybe that's why. Must be the stress giving me a bit of an appetite. Rarity looked at her with a small frown. Well, don't get too carried away with it. Habitual overeating is not only uncouth but unhealthy for a mare too, she warned before continuing her work. Before long, Applejack's alterations were finished and her dress once more form-fit. It was a large, very stylish gown of olden pony fashion, an old but classic design that showed the regality of its wearer, with plenty of gold sewed into the seams. Carats of amber and emeralds both were subtly included in the dress to accentuate and contrast Applejack's natural coat and eye colors, making for quite a beautiful display. Gestris magnifica, Rarity exclaimed, turning the mirror to Rarity exclaimed, turning the mirror so Applejack could see herself. My best work yet, even among the other girls, and my own wedding dresses. Applejack was a bit more withheld with Rarity's statement, but kept it to herself, knowing that on almost any other mare the dress would look great, but on her it simply looked excessive. Yeah, Rares, it's beautiful. Twilight was squirming around in her nervousness and excitement as she had her own simpler but still fancy wedding dress hemmed by Rarity, having a traditionally long train which would be carried by a pony as she walked down the aisle. Reading over the list of proceedings for what must have been the 10th time, she read them aloud. Okay, I'll be announced. Walk down the aisle with Dad, and with Celestia leading. Applejack will be waiting at the altar, and Dad will give me away, and will then join up there. We exchange vows and wedding trinkets, then Applejack kisses me, and we're married. Simple, right? Twilight summarized before going back and rereading it. Darling, it really is not that complex of a ceremony. You're going to put a hole through that paper if you stare at it any harder, Rarity quipped as she hemmed the dress again, finding it was tighter on Twilight too. Dear, not to offend you right before your wedding, but you and Applejack should really consider more salads, she said. She's been stressing She says she's been stress eating a bit, and it seems you are too, if a bit more. Twilight smiled self-consciously before giving a sigh. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I just get really hungry for something, and I've just gotta have it. Have you ever tried cucumbers and chocolate ice cream? It's to die for, she said, getting a chuckle from Rarity. Oh, I know that feeling, dear. When I go into stress and my stallion orange sky isn't there to help me out with it. No point you better get between myself and my double chocolate truffle ice cream and my watercress cucumber sandwiches, Rarity said with me. Rarity said with she and Twilight sharing a hearty laugh at that. Now, do hold still, dear. The ceremony isn't just over in an hour. Just remember what we practiced, and you'll be fine. Twilight took a deep breath and exhaled. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna do okay, she assured herself as she looked into the mirror at her reflection meeting her eyes, assuring herself even if she wasn't sure at all. Water break. Twilight waited in her room and soon heard another knock on her door. Yes, come in, she called out, the door opening and her quickly seeing the head of her old full-sitter, long-time friend, fellow princess, and recently sister-in-law, Cadence, pop in. Hi, Cadence, she called out, smiling and trotting up to her. Cadence smiled in kind, wrapping Twilight in a hug as she approached. There's my little all-grown-up mare. I still can't believe you're getting married, even if it's going to happen in a few minutes, Cadence cooed, wrapping Twilight in a hug. Yeah, I know. I can't help but feel that something bad's gonna happen today, like it did at your wedding, Twilight said, looking away. I mean, the changelings are still out there. Chrysalis is still alive. Twilight, you have nothing to worry about, especially not about changelings. Not only is the party being guarded by 24 royal guards, and the grounds being patrolled by another 30, all of the unicorn guards and Celestia herself are scanning guests with a changeling-specific spell. If the scanned pony is a changeling in disguise, it'll dissipate their magic, and they'll be revealed. Celestia had heavy research done on changeling shape-shifting magic after what happened at Shiny and my wedding. And that spell is the result, Cadence comforted, giving Twilight a small nuzzle. I know, but even if it's not something like a major invasion, what about if I forget my lines, or if I trip? What about if I... Twilight said, her voice rising before Cadence magically closed her muzzle, her next words coming out as muffled mumbles. Twilight, calm down. Nothing bad is going to happen unless you panic. You've practiced this countless times and have the proceedings memorized, remember? Breathe in, breathe out, Cadence said, giving her a smile as Twilight did the breathing exercise she taught her. Besides, being all stressed out isn't good for the... Just then, she was interrupted by a loud series of knocks on the door, as well as the voice of Nightlight, Twilight's father, calling in for them to hurry up, that the ceremony was in 5 minutes. Well, that's my cue, Twilight said, getting up as the dress train carrier came in and gave the princesses a bow. I'll see you at the altar and BBBFF at the reception, Cadence. Remember, stay calm, face forward, and try not to bite too hard on the flower stems of the bouquet. I learned the hard way that the stem fluid is really bitter. Most importantly, stay calm and remember the proceedings, Cadence reminded her, and with that, they all headed out to the wedding chapel. Good luck. Twilight waited outside of the main chapel's door minutes later, waiting for her cue to enter when the doors were opened for her. She kept taking deep, calming breaths as Cadence had taught her, kept telling herself that she was going to do this properly, that they'd practiced it a dozen times, and she had it down pat. Celestia was also with her as the officiant of the ceremony, and her father to give her away to Applejack. As the time came and the doors opened, Celestia stepped inside. Mares and gentlecoats, I present to you the bride, Princess Twilight Sparkle. All I gotta say about this wedding, there's 2 brides. I just feel like that's hilarious to me. Like, I would honestly laugh if I was actually at a wedding like this. 2 brides. Applejack is obviously the groom. I would honestly laugh. Like, I would not expect this. Just saying, not to be disrespectful, but I would honestly just laugh. Okay, let's continue. As she heard the wedding theme start and her cue from Celestia, Twilight bit down on her nervous reflex, nearly gagging at the sudden bitter flavor invading her mouth from the crushed flower stems. Cadence was right. This is bitter, she thought, trying not to wince and hold her composure as she stepped onto the red carpet lining the aisle, walking slowly alongside her father. Applebloom, Skiddaloo, and Sweetiebelle took the lead of Twilight, sprinkling the floor with rose petals, her dress's long train pushing them sad as she passed them. As she passed them by. She walked the aisle cordially, looking around to the huge crowd watching her every step, concentrating hard on making each hoof fall graceful, on making each one bring her that much closer to her goal. She saw a large assortment of ponies she knew, from celebrities to ponies from Ponyville, ponies she grew up around in Canterlot, and of course all of her and most of Applejack's extensive family sitting near the front. You saw her mother in the front row crying happily, along with her baby crying alongside her, both sharing a box of tissues, as together they spilled liquid pride for her. As her mother, that's a shitty Arbor thing, okay? That's all I gotta say to you, Charlie. That's not something to say about anything else. As her mother and she met eyes, she smiled brightly, her eyes showing happiness that her daughter had finally found her true love. As she approached the altar, Celestia quickly took her place behind it, with the main leaders of the land, the only ones authorized to perform a royal wedding. Despite any of the princesses or princes being permitted to perform it, Celestia had taken the right for herself to both announce her and perform the marriage, and Twilight couldn't be happier to have her oldest friend, the mayor indeed responsible for this even being possible, to join them together. To the right of the altar was, from bottom to top, Cadence, Rarity, and Fluttershy, the last of them with a hotly glowing blush burning on her face. Her wings clenched to her side as she shifted in place with her mane covering her face. To her left was Big Mac, Rainbow Dash, and Pinkie Pie, with Rainbow surprisingly staying grounded, whilst Pinkie bounced only slightly, trying to contain her excitement as well as she could at being part of such a momentous occasion. Finally, standing in front of the altar and waiting her was the love of her life and the pony whose hoof she was going to take in marriage, the mare she loved beyond any pony else in the universe. As she approached the altar, the song ended, her father releasing her with a proud smile. She then stepped up and stood face to face with Applejack. Inside, Twilight was an emotional wreck, high-strung as her mind raced through all of the things that could have gone wrong, and those that still could, trying not to remember the odds of a meteor striking during the ceremony. However, as she met Applejack's eyes and saw that small, calming smile in response to her own panicked expression, Twilight felt herself calming down as her near-hysterical breath slowed, all of her concerns seeming to fade by the wayside as she swam in those deep vistas that were in her mare's eyes. That smile letting her know everything would be alright. Twilight could only look up into her mare-to-be's eyes through the veil, looking deeply into the emerald pools she had many times before bathed in, almost consumed by them once more, before she brought herself back to the surface, letting out a held-in breath of nervousness and a quiet whoosh. They would be married, and nothing would stop it. Twilight wouldn't let it. Okay, so guys, I'm sorry if you can hear the dogs, but they are noisy tonight. As Celestia looked to them, then to Spike, their trinket bearer, and got nods from them all, she started the proceedings. Fillies and gentlecots, our esteemed guests today, on this most joyous day, we are gathered here together to join Princess Twilight Sparkle and her chosen bride, Applejack, in matrimony, two mares who have helped save Equestria countless times together, now to be eternally joined together as one. If anyone has a valid reason these two should not be wed, speak now, Celestia said, and after the resulting silence, she looked down to Spike. Very well, without further ado, Spike, the marriage trinkets, please. Spike rose the pillow with the necklace and bracelet on it, up to the two brides, with each respective pony taking the trinket. Twilight Sparkle, do you take Applejack, Apple, to be your loving wife, to forever be yours in sickness and health, so long as you both shall live? I do proudly, Twilight responded, then looking to her mirror, her soulmate, her soon-to-be wife. Applejack, Apple, do you take Twilight Sparkle to be your loving wife, to forever be yours in sickness and health, so long as you both shall live? I do, Applejack responded boldly, leaving no doubt she wanted this to be forever joined with the mare she loved. As Twilight accepted the bracelet upon her hoof, and Applejack took the necklace over her neck, Celestia spoke. With these trinkets, these two mares bind themselves to each other in wedlock. I now pronounce you mare and wife. You may now kiss. At that, Applejack lifted Twilight's veil to the stumping applause of the audience, with them gazing into each other's eyes for but a moment before she lowered her lips to her muzzle. Their lips met to another round of hoofs stomping the floor, whistles and cheers They held it for a short while as cameras flashed, showing all of Canterlot and their families just how much they loved each other. As they parted lips, the post-wedding photographs were taken. After Applejack then hoisted Twilight onto her back and easily carried her out of the chapel to her near-deafening cheers, setting her down outside. As Twilight turned around and threw the bouquet behind her to all the unwed mares, it was unintentionally caught by drippy hooves of all ponies, with their genuinely offset eyes going straight at the implications. Twilight simply giggled as she looked to the young male mare and gave her a wink, knowing Derpy had always had a sweet spot for her time-turner, and indeed had been dating him for many months. Perhaps this was a sign. What? Okay, whatever. The couple then went into their just-married carriage, seen off with the throwing of rice and joined with cheers. Every pony then followed the carriage to the reception hall, a short trot away, eager to get on with the celebration and reception. The reception's decor was almost more grand than the wedding chapel had been. The tables covered in all the most rich and expensive foods, crafted by only the most well-known chefs from all over Equestria, and placed on only the finest Japanese porcelain. And at the insistence of Applejack, a table was also covered in all sorts of home-style victuals, from the recipes of the Apple clan, as the two newly betrothed arrived by carriage. Applejack and Twilight were welcomed off by an entourage of their friends, family, and other ponies, cheering and excited, congratulating them. After the initial chaos of congratulations and even more pictures, the two proceeded to the cake-cutting area, the huge cake looking large enough to feed all of Equestria, and then some, and indeed it may need to, with as many guests as they were. As they cut the cake and went to feed each other a piece as per standard, Twilight too late saw the mysterious grin on her mate's face and felt the smush of cake and frosting on her muzzle, followed by Applejack laughing. After Twilight got some righteous revenge by returning the favor with a larger piece, they laughed together as they cleaned each other up, using napkins instead of the tongues instead of the tongues they so desired to use instead. Afterward, the sliced cake was distributed to all the guests as was authentic French champagne. No expenses were spared, and that went for the food and drinks as well. Big Mac took the stage alongside his sister and her bride. Despite generally being soft-spoken and in the background, with his glass held in his hoof, he turned to his sister and Twilight, raising the glass to them and smiling. To my sister and Twilight, may you always be happy together. Congratulations, he said, getting a hoof-stomping applause, and both the toasted grinning from ear to ear. After a few more toasts in their honor and the cake and drink were finished, every pony was allowed to go back to feasting, with Twilight and Applejack filling their plates full and indulging, with Twilight especially liking to dip carrots in chocolate sauce and bell peppers and radishes too. After the feast was finished, the after party started with a certain white DJ with an electric blue mane manning the turntables and then others hosting the games and other events. Her group of friends was, as always, wait, what? Okay, we talked about Vinyl Scratch. She's the DJ. Her group of friends was as always with Twilight and Applejack as they all ate together, but also with their own stallions, whom they dedicated themselves to years prior. Rainbow Dash with Thorin, Fluttershy with Lightning Bolt, Pinky with Boker Horizon, Rarity with Orange Sky, and of course Cadence with Shining Armor. Well, LSBFF, looks like you finally did it, huh? You finally got married, Shining said, getting happy smiles from both. Well, hope you're ready for the honeymoon. Cadence wouldn't let me out of her bedchamber for hours. I thought I was gonna die, but what a way to go. Oh, that's so, like, they technically already had their honeymoon, technically. Cadence quickly clunked a hoof on Shining's head, earning a stifled chuckle from him as he rubbed the struck spot. Seeing the blush burning on her face, I was in a magically concealed heat when we got married, she mumbled in explanation, getting an understanding nod from all the mares at the table, Applejack looking especially flustered. But your brother's right. Be sure to drink plenty of water before and during. She finished, giving the two a sly wink. Leah technically already had it. That's all I gotta say. They technically already had it. Yeah, but you gotta remember that marriage isn't all about just hot, sweaty sex, even though that's one of the best parts. It's about you and your partner being together forever and overcoming everything together. Whether to be choosing how many folds you want, or the curtains for the front window, or even your jobs, or anything else. Remember, you chose it. You choose it together from now on. Twilight looked up, surprised to see that it was Rainbow of all ponies who had dispensed that nugget of wisdom. Seeing Rainbow and Soren exchanging a small kiss as they met each other's eyes, Twilight noting that Rainbow's distinct baby bump had grown since they'd last seen each other. What? Rainbow's pregnant? What? It's about being there for each other when you're happy or sad, to be with your soulmate no matter if you're really happy with each other or if you can nearly tear each other apart in anger. Fluttershy said, getting a nuzzle from Lightning Bolt. Fluttershy's stallion gently rubbed her own full swollen midsection, getting a soft smile from her. Just remember, it'll be okay in the end, as long as you both truly do love each other and try to work it out. Oh, and darling, let me tell you, you will get into fights. I mean, goodness, Orange Sky and myself once had the longest fight whether our chosen carpets were royal blue or cobalt blue. Ended up in some of the best makeup sex we'd ever had upon said carpet. But that's beside the point. Be ready to have at least some conflict. Every pony is different and will want different things sometimes. It's only natural. Too much information in their rarity, but you know, you guys are best friends. Understandable if you share that. It was cobalt. I asked the maker of the carpet himself, and he told me, Orange Sky said, getting a glare from Rarity. And I said it was royal blue. As a 20-year seamstress, I should know my shades, Rarity exclaimed, before looking around the table, looking sheepish at her outburst, before glaring at Orange again. Sometimes I think you only keep bringing this up so you can bend me over later to make up, and try to give me that fool you want me to have. Orange only grinned. Yeah, sometimes being together will be super duper great, but then sometimes it'll be like a Pegasus rain cloud came over and rained all over those decorations you spent a super long time setting up. All you gotta do is remember that the good times will outweigh the bad, Pinky said, somehow appearing right between Twilight and Applejack. And that your partner will love you no matter what. After all, you married them for a reason, because you love them with all your heart and want to be with them forever. Till death do us part isn't a little commitment after all, Ken said before looking at the two. This is getting emotional. I'm not sure about you guys, but this is getting emotional to me. Like, they're all married, I think, with their couples that were previously mentioned. This is getting emotional. What we're all trying to say is being married won't be easy, but it'll be worth it when you see your most loved pony in the whole world at the start or end of the day and tell them how your day went or what you dreamed about. To have them listen to you and understand you like no pony else can. It's the best feeling in the world, Shining Armor finished, getting a peck on the cheek from Kittens. Plus, like Rainbow said earlier, the sex is awesome. Wait, Rainbow said that? I thought that was Shining, but okay. Shining once more felt a hoof land roughly on his head with a thank. After chatting and eating together, the newly married couple went to the dance floor, with the DJ reluctantly putting on a slow-paced song for them instead of the heavy beats she was dropping before. So I stab you there. As Applejack's chest pressed against Twilight and their hooves started to move as one, their heads wrapped around each other so their chins rested on the other's crest. Slowly the two shared their first dance together as sworn life mates, nuzzling into each other as they slowly moved together smoothly. Their dance lessons had apparently paid off. You guys got dance lessons? Excuse me? I don't know half the things that are going on. They slowly ground together as a calm rhythm. They slowly ground together as the calm rhythm played, relaxing for the first time in a week as nothing else was expected for their overly complex wedding. A huge burden off their minds, for now they just held each other close, feeling their mates' chests rise with their own and each other's breaths, feeling as connected to each other as two ponies possibly could, feeling like they were one body, moving together. You're is the best thing that's ever happened to me, Applejack said as they moved rhythmically to a slow tempo, her voice choking up, trying to keep her movement steady as she also tried to keep her happy tears in. You are to me too, Applejack. I couldn't ask for something better to spend the rest of my life with than you. Twilight responded with the two stopping their emotions. Twilight responded with the two stopping their motions as the music ended, sharing a short kiss before Nightlight came along to receive Twilight from Applejack for his dance with the bride. The end. Wonder what the father is gonna say about their foal. Anyways, I would say that got a little bit emotional to the end. The only thing I'm not sure about like, I agree with Rainbow and Soren, Fluttershy and Lightning, because that is one of the stories I read before. But God, I need to look at the other ones. There's Verity with Orange, and Pinky with, I don't know. Anyways, guys, hopefully y'all have enjoyed. Like, right now, I'm not really into editing my fics right now because I just got too much stuff on my chest. Also trying to be a little bit family friendly because, you know, YouTube with its whole apocalypse nonsense that happened with PewDiePie and all that. Don't really care about the monetization value of these. I'm just having fun at the end of the day, and you guys, I'm just laughing at this or enjoying these, like, and getting the emotional aspect for me. But you guys who listen, thank you as always, and I hope to see you in the next video or reading. Goodbye.
100,000 stories have filled my head as I look for the answer in what I